I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item on the agenda is Captain Hunt will be bringing us a quarterly report, talk about the law enforcement activities in our city here.
Okay. Came with bonus material tonight, so I'm going to try to cover the whole year. So I'm going to inundate you with some numbers, a little bit of information. So, oh, it's loud. So since January through October, we have responded to 2,337 calls for service in Darting Prairie. Made 94 arrests, written 256 police reports. We've conducted 4,254 traffic stops. I can provide all this in a memo to Kathy tomorrow so you guys can read it. But of those 4,254 traffic stops, those have resulted in 1,795 traffic tickets, 1,457 written warning. It does not include the verbal warnings because we don't track those. But as you can see, the 4 officers that are assigned to Darting Prairie on a daily basis have been out there making their presence known and stopping a lot of cars. In addition to the 4 cars that you guys pay for around the clock, I have also directed the full-time traffic unit from the county police to come into Darting Prairie and give some attention to certain areas, whether it's from a request from the mayor or the city administrator or the council or citizens. We've conducted a total of 19 and a half man hours of patrol time for directed patrols in specific subdivisions and streets that you've all identified as potential problem streets. During those 19 hours, we issued 168 tickets so far this year, just in my full-time traffic unit. That's separate from the Darting Prairie office. 2 officers that we have, Officer Lawrence, who's here with tonight, and also Officer Van Dusen, work from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and 11 to 7. That seems to be working out pretty good. I have adjusted their hours on a couple instances where there's Darting Prairie days going on or specific events where we need additional attention, or there's events at the church where there's going to be a lot of people. So that's worked out pretty good. I haven't heard any complaints. Heard a lot of compliments, so I do appreciate that. I know those officers are working hard to be personable and available to city staff and the residents, and also the schools, the parochial schools and those schools that don't have SROs. I know these officers are stopping by periodically through the day, making sure that they're seen within the school. Recently, we deployed a radar trailer. That's kind of old technology. Those things run off of batteries, and the batteries die. We got to go out and charge them or switch the batteries out. We have one out there on Rembrandt at Parish right now. In the last, I say, probably 7 days, we've had 1,865 cars go through there. Most subdivisions where we think there's a speeding problem, there's not a speeding problem. So 987 of those 1,800 cars were doing 25 miles an hour or below, and 267 of those cars were doing 30 miles an hour or below. I think we only had a couple dozen cars doing over 30, 35 miles an hour. So we're going to leave the radar trailer out there for a little bit longer, but I apologize because a lot of times I'll get those requests and it takes weeks for us to get them out there. We only have so many trailers and they're deployed all throughout the county. So you're put into a queue. Kathy did call on this one. I moved it to the top because it sounded like there was a lot of complaining from the residents out there. So hopefully that's been seen by the residents and has slowed people down even more than they're already going. So With that being said, I think that's about it for the quarterly report. That's the kind of stuff that we track. I know there's been a couple SWAT incidents. I can't talk about those because those are open and active investigations. We're going to make a valiant effort to, after those operations are executed, to call a city administrator, get it up to the mayor's office, let you guys know that there was SWAT activity within the city. But again, most of those are either drug search warrants or crimes against children, internet crimes. So that's mostly what our SWAT team is focused on. Every once in a while, we'll get a barricade where somebody is barricaded in the house. That's very rare. I think we only have 4 or 5 of those here in the county. Say that, and we're probably going to get a dozen next week. But most of those search warrants are pre-planned. We know where they're going, but we don't disclose those addresses before, just for safety reasons. So I think that's it. I think I pretty much covered everything that we track. I'm happy to answer any questions or talk about anything you guys want me to talk about.
Captain Hunt, thank you very much for everything you do for your officers, and also Officer Birdsong for all the community work you guys do. I really appreciate it, and it helps this undarting period. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome. We did do a tour the other day. I appreciate you guys showing up for the tour. It was hopefully you guys got a inside optics of the police department and how it works.
Absolutely.
We're happy to set that up again for those of you who couldn't make it. We can set that another tour up.
Yeah, 100%. And any other comments from the board before I say my part? Yeah, that was actually what I was getting ready to dive into, and highly recommend the board take advantage for the board members that weren't able to attend. Captain Hunt and Chief Fritz gave us a kind of a peek behind the curtain of some of the activities that they do over there at the headquarters of St. Charles County Police, which ultimately fall under support for us as well. Anything from some of the forensics departments over there to which that's quite a bit of. We got the forensics was a tremendous part of what they do. It's pretty amazing. They got a really great gym over there too, which is great to see. Our police officers are staying in shape. Chief's making sure of that apparently. Some of the fleet that they have, anywhere from boats to just all the sorts of different SWAT vehicles and riot trailers, all kinds of equipment that are at our disposal with the contract that we have with the county. And additionally, just the Emergency Operations Center over there is co-located with the police station. So we had a chance to take a look at that and talk to some of the folks that work over there. So again, as Captain Hunt has offered, I strongly recommend any of the aldermen if they get a chance to go over there to take a look at it and really understand what we're getting, and the value we're getting with the contract that we have with St. Charles County Police. So aside from that, thank you for all you guys do. I've gotten a lot of compliments from the police officers that we have in the city. As the alderman had mentioned, Officer Birdsong is ever present in all these events, and we appreciate your presence and all the good and unfortunately some of the bad that happens in our city. So thank you and your team for what you guys do and bring forward to the citizens and safety of our city.
Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just wanted to share that you had some officers do a vulnerability assessment of City Hall for us. It's not something we like to have to think about, but it is something. I'm being concerned about the safety of our staff and our citizens and our tenants here in the building. So we'll have some ideas that we'll talk about during the budget. So it was really good input, and the radar trailer was put out there at the request of the Canvas Cove HOA. We have a resolution about traffic calming and requests for traffic calming, and it specifically calls for those radar trailers. So with the new technology that Captain Hunt referred to, we may want to tweak that resolution to address the new technology, because they do only have 2 of those radar trailers, and it took quite a while for us to be able to circle those in. So that'll be something we'll talk about in the future.
Yeah, there's portable signs out there that you can. I have a lieutenant that works for me who's he's my go-to guy for getting state grants for radar trailers and equipment. And there's a lot of options out there hanging things on speed limit signs that are just not as big or robust as radar trailers, but kind of accomplish the same thing. We also have a software program that we use that I sent all that voodoo stuff over to you that track speed and gets data. So I'm happy to put you in touch with that lieutenant. He can give you a bunch of options. Go from there. Thank you.
Yep. Thank
Have a
you,
good
Captain
night.
Hunt. All right. So the next item up is the St. Charles County Roads and Traffic Managing Director for presentation on the county's bike walk plan, which this is related to the grant that we've been discussing for Bates Road. Unfortunately, Miss Amanda Brower, the individual that was going to give us the presentation, was unable to make it this evening. She's fallen ill. So we will have to potentially postpone that until she's able to come give us that presentation. So I'll just open it up for the board to have any thoughts or discussion about that. If there's any disagreement on that, because that's an item we have on the active agenda that would be influenced by the discussion item. So I'll open it up briefly for any other thoughts or ideas on that before we move on to the next item. All right, nothing heard. So we'll plan to postpone that when it comes up on the regular agenda then until Ms. Brower can come in. So the third item up is something that it's a bill opting out of temporary extension of liquor services during the 2026 FIFA World Cup tournament. So this came on our radar a couple of weeks ago. It was a bill put out by the state to enable liquor stores to enable single serve liquor retailers to stay open 24 hours a day during the World Cup. And it's you have to opt out of it as a city if you don't want to participate in it. So we did an analysis from it internally, and it appears that Kansas City is hosting several games. They're one of the host cities for the World Cup. And if you're not familiar with it, the World Cup is going to take place all over North America, for Mexico, the United States, and Canada. So you have World Cup games that are going to transcend all these three countries. The thing is those three countries all fall within the same time zones that we have across the United States. So, extending the hours, when we're not hosting foreign nationals coming in to attend their country's game, as well as all the time zones are within the boundaries of a standard sporting event, such as the World Series, the NBA Finals, the Super Bowl. Like, it's all going to remain in those same time zones and same time frames we normally would. So I didn't see any merit as within Darden Prairie to extend our single sales liquor hours. So my recommendation is to opt out of it through an ordinance. So I'll leave that open to the board for discussion if there's any other thoughts or considerations around that, or why that should be reconsidered. Otherwise, we'll be voting on it. And it will be a one read item only because it is not administrative, but we will vote on it for the first time tonight. So I'll open it up for the board for further discussion.
Yeah, I would like to know, did we inquire these establishments to see if maybe they are hosting any kind of party or anything like that?
No, because if they were hosting any kind of party, it wouldn't conflict with the hours of the games, because the hours of the games are all within normal operating hours as it stands, which is.
So what was the purpose of the bill?
I believe, and I'm not sure, I can't speak for the legislators in Jeff City who made the bill, but I believe because Kansas City is hosting foreign nationals who fly in from all over the world to attend these games, that perhaps they may be on different time schedules, or they're going to be they're going to be more activity that goes late into the night. I'm not really sure. I really don't know, but I know that. So I did have the opportunity to attend during the Copa Americana series, USA versus Paraguay in Kansas last year. And it was quite the event. I was really stunned at the number of people that filled Arrowhead Stadium for that game, and the amount of people that really just filled up the downtown area. So I think that it is a economic opportunity for Kansas City and that area when these games come in, especially if they have multiple games. And I think that those retailers are probably going to want to take advantage of it because of the influx of people flying in from all over the world. And I guess my thought is if people are able to fly in from all over the world, they're probably able to spend a little bit of coin when they're there. And those businesses are probably trying to take advantage of it. Now, that's just Mayor Whitteman's interpretation, you know, but I just don't see the necessary for the establishments we have listed here, the 7 establishments that we have, 7 or 8 establishments that we have, that they would need to operate 24/7 during the World Cup. So,
But then on the other hand, what would the harm be is if they do, it would be nothing but a benefit us in revenue generated. So I don't see a harm in letting them operate if they want to operate.
okay.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, I was trying to think about how I was going to say my sentence. That's why I was contemplating. No, and I wish I knew the schedule better, and I don't. And I know other countries might have games, but you're saying all the games are in our time zones. Is that correct? There's no games
Not our
outside-
time zone, but
Well,
within
our-
the boundaries of the time zones of continental United States, because Canada and Mexico both have the same times. They share the same time zone structure.
Mhm, mhm. Okay.
So, no, I'm with you. I mean, you know, when the World Cup was in the Middle East, I mean, there were 3 o'clock games, and,
Correct.
and I really don't know if this is something you know, at the time I wasn't a mayor, so, but I don't know if this is something that they do standard during the World Cup every year,
Mhm.
as a way to help, you know, people that maybe wanted to go to a watch party at 3 a.m. That's really what my understanding is. And I lived in DC for the World Cup and a few years ago, and that was a common, but there were games at 3 a.m. and then certain businesses would open up their doors and then they'd have a party,
Correct.
you know, and then you'd get, you know, a bunch of, you know, players from Colombia they were playing, Saudi Arabia or something.
Yeah.
But then you'd have a whole bunch of people come into certain restaurants. And I think that's the idea, but you know, that's just my thought on it. I'm happy, you know, that's, you know, I'm sharing my thought with the board. And,
Yeah.
and if you guys feel that this is, that you'd like to see it go a different direction,
No.
by all means, it's not something I'm really trying to argue. And we've got another, you know, we're only going to do 1 reading tonight as well. You know, we're giving opportunity for other, you know, business owners who may want to come up and, you know, share differently. That's fine. If they're indifferent on it, then so be it. But this is just my perspective on, you know, things. And
No, my thought was this. I'm sorry. Thank you for saying that because I didn't get my thoughts together. I
Yeah,
was thinking
yeah.
about all the people that might not stay in Kansas City, but this would be the place they live or stay, because they might take the train back and forth or this, that, and the other. I'm trying to think devil's advocate of why we should support this or why not.
yeah,
That's what I was thinking. So that's why I just want to make sure I say that because
yeah.
you're right. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
So
I looked, and I've looked at it from all different angles too. And like I said, I'm not completely fixated on one. I just feel this one is the most logical, and it's something that we kind of at least got to address and bring up some degree as a board. So, you know,
And then one last question for you,
Mhm,
Mayor.
sure.
Are you stating, just correct me if I'm wrong, if Town Square Pub says they want to do something on a certain day, we can revisit this? Is that what you're saying or not?
Well, yeah, so we're going to have to make a decision. We don't have to make it. We're just going to do 1 reading tonight, and then the next meeting, we can vote on it for the final. And then we can vote down opting out, which means that it defaults to the state regulation, which allows them to stay open 24/7 for these time. And that's my understanding. It would not close. So, yeah. Yep.
Okay, my concern is, um, I can't see, since there isn't going to be any games that are in effect for hours, I can't see why any of these establishments would have the need to stay open. I mean, I guess I get, since it's going on in Kansas City, I guess I get that, but That's not here. And my concern is if they're gonna stay open almost 24 hours, then, we're putting a lot of stress on the, the police and other EMS who are going to have to be out there monitoring all these people out driving. That's my concern. Um, I, I don't see, since it's not in a time zone that is other than our time zone, I don't understand why we need to accommodate, being open that late.
And I understand what you're saying. The thing is you can compare it to like the Olympics. I mean, and you watch them. I mean, I'm a big Winter Olympics coming up, and that's 24 hours a day. I can be sitting up watching those during the day, and those are the type things I like. Some people foul soccer. My son, example, they follow it all over the world all the time. It's not just that. It's just like the World Series coming up. We don't have the Cardinals playing, but I'm watching all those games, So I just think it's opportunity. First of all, I mean, to be honest, I don't think any of these establishments are going to be finding staff to run a place 24 hours a day, more or less, paying them that, hoping that they have a crowd of people coming in. But I just don't want to shut down an opportunity that if they wanted to have some type of running thing like the Olympics showing all the time or whatever, and you have a big fan of crowds coming, and give them the opportunity to have this thing. But as I said, I think it's very rare that any establishment would find the personnel to be able to run something 24 hours a day for this length of time, and are just the employees.
Well, so then we're not really doing them any harm, because if they don't have the personnel to be open,
We don't know if we're not doing them any harm is what I'm stating. We don't know if they want to do anything. So that I just don't like to shut off an opportunity
Well,
for a business in case they do want to do something.
here's what I'll recommend, and there's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 businesses. 2 are owned by close to the same proprietor. Anyway, we can send a notice to the 7 businesses and request feedback if they are interested in staying open during those hours. And the board can gauge off that. And we've got 3 weeks, I believe, until our next meeting. So if they don't respond within 3 weeks, then so be it. But that'll give us an opportunity to gauge the businesses and actually engage directly with them. We're not dealing with hundreds of, so we're not dealing with hundreds of businesses that are going to lose, economic opportunity through, tens of thousands of foreign nationals with deep pockets coming in and that want to stay up and have dinner and drinks through the night as they celebrate their team's victory or loss. But I'm sure they wouldn't celebrate the loss, but you guys know what I'm saying. How about for that, we could vote on it once tonight, and then by the next meeting, we'll have responses or non-responses. We'll just set it up as if we don't hear back from you, we will assume that you don't have any interest in staying open 24/7 and leave it at that. Does that seem satisfactory, Alderman? Okay. Okay, so that's it. We'll vote on it once tonight. And then we'll go ahead and just, so we'll read, sorry, Luke, thank you. Read it once tonight, and then we'll read it for the second time in the next meeting, which gives us 3 weeks to get feedback. Okay, any further discussion on that? All righty. Okay, last item on the for discussion and consideration is the review of the 10-15, our Board of Aldermen agenda tonight, the regular agenda. Any further thoughts or discussion on that? None heard? Okay. We will turn to the city attorney. All right, city engineer.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss the Bates Road. I set up meetings this past week with East West Gateway and the county. In the meeting with the count or with East West Gateway, they stated that the removal of the separated bike lanes would warrant approval from them through a project scope change. The project would then be reevaluated to their scoring criteria. The removal of the bike lanes would deduct 4 points from the bike facility section, an additional 3 points from the safety section. This project was already on the threshold for funding. The removal of the bike lanes would drop the project below the funding threshold and lose $836,000 in federal funding. Additionally, the county stated if we were unable to put any bike facilities with this project, we would lose their funding as well of $359,000. That is all I had, Mr. Mayor.
Was there any consideration into putting in the turn lanes in each end?
Yes, so the turn lanes, through a traffic study in the design process, we can determine where turn lanes are needed. And where turn lanes are needed, such as at both ends, like we're suspecting, the separated bike lane would end prior to that and turn into a mixed shared bike lane between cars and bikes. So we can keep the one lane both ways of the center turn lane.
So that would not eliminate any or.
That would
funding
not,
or anything.
because it's still considered a
So,
separated bike
yeah.
lane. It would be designed to spec. That is spec
Okay.
for just separated bike lanes.
That's, I mean, that's my biggest concern is we have to have these turn lanes
Right, right.
down there.
And so you would still be able to keep
Thanks,
those in as well.
thanks for the clarification. So it wouldn't affect any of the
It wouldn't
funding from the
affect it.
county or the state.
Correct.
Thank you.
Well, that also doesn't, taking away the turn lanes does not help the safety of school buses who need to turn into those subdivisions. You're putting the school bus at a complete stop on a road with cars coming behind it versus being in a turn lane out of the way to be able to get into those subdivisions. So again, I'm putting the buses and cars before I'm putting the concern of bike lanes that the city is spending money for. So I just think it's ridiculous to take that center turn lane away. So that's just what my thoughts on it.
I agree that taking away the turn lane is problematic. I also worry about these promises, kind of like you can make changes later. Not saying anything about Matt, but again, we were told that with Stump Road, and then we were told later, well, that was never going to happen. So I'm worried about these stuff that's in the gray, that maybe it's going to be okay, maybe it's not, without having a firm decision. And again, I base this on the reality of Stump Road. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And as a reminder, we're not going to vote on this evening. We are going to postpone it until we get Ms. Brower in to give us a presentation, but still good discussion and food for thought as we continue to chew on this vote. Anything else, city engineer?
That is it, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. Alderman. Oh, I'm sorry, city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder to the board that we do have our budget meeting scheduled for October 30th. That is a 6 p.m. meeting here, and it will be an opportunity for us to review the draft budget. We are in the final stages of pulling that together and should have something out to you early next week to give you an opportunity for review prior to the October 30th meeting. The first round interviews for city clerk have been completed. We had 5 candidates, and we've narrowed to 2 finalists out of the first round process. The second round interviews will be completed this week, And hopefully we'll be in a position for the board to interview the candidates November 5th. If we could schedule an early work session or, some additional time so that we can get those interviews in. And then staff met today with our website vendor to kick off the website redesign process. It is about a 6-month process, and we're all really excited about the changes. It'll be a lot of work. We have 112 pages to review on our current website, and I don't know, some 750 forms and documents to take a look at. And we know most of our forms are outdated and need updating. So that'll be a little bit of a process to get there, but it'll be worth it in the end.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it's very exciting about the website going up, but I'll save my comments until my turn. Alderman?
Okay, I'll take a turn. The tour this past week of the police station was exceptional. The amount that I learned there was unbelievable. Whatever we paid the county is well worth it. The one unit alone was the internet group that just controls the internet. And then they work with federal and the other states in apprehending people. That alone is worth every dime we give to them, whether they did anything else, because that is a marvelous thing. But the facility down there was well worth the tour. You have got a very good sense that anything that happens here in St. Charles will be investigated thoroughly, handled professionally, and those who do wrong will go to jail. And it was a marvelous thing to see. And for those who didn't go on the tour, try to do it. It was well worth it. It gave you such an appreciation of what our county is doing. And we owe a great deal of thanks to Steve Ellman for the work that he's done in putting that forward. It's unbelievable. The second thing I did this morning, I took a tour of the Chesterfield YMCA. And for any of you who've been to that YMCA, you know what I'm talking about. That was spectacular. Unbelievable. So the tour that I took was arranged by the head of that YMCA, Tim Phillips, maybe it's Phillips, Tim Peters. And so we looked at the facility there.
Helm?
No, Tim Helms, the regional president.
Okay.
Tim Peters he manages that YMCA. They've just gone through a $25 million upgrade. The facility was opened in 1989 and they needed to upgrade it. When they started that project, they saw that they needed just to upgrade, and that's all they intended to do. But as they began making plans, they saw if any of you have not been down that area, all the building, there's like almost 2,500 units that have come into that area. And so they expanded their thing and went to a $25 million renovation. It is spectacular. And
that sits on top of the old mall, right?
no,
No,
this is
What are the units you're talking about?
it's on the outer road, the Chesterfield Village Parkway,
Yeah,
goes around where the mall sits up on top. Village Parkway goes around it.
Oh, it's
And
down
this-
below it then.
And this
Okay.
fits down below.
It is okay. And there's still a whole bunch of the apartments that you're talking about are the ones right next to the Parkway?
well, they're right next to this YMCA.
Okay.
The people there just walk across the street to it. It's we might get a chance to take a tour. But so I was there at 9 o'clock in the morning, and he just said, well, let's see how many people are here. And he asked the gal, and because they just simply put a little ID through and they're registered in. There was 1,230 people there this morning at 9 o'clock.
Wow.
It was amazing. He says, well, today we should easy go past 10,000. I was blown away. But
Chesterfield's population is 999,000.
I know they're considerably higher than us.
99,000.
You know, it's a big deal, but just the programs that they were offering, the pool facilities, the gym, The other interesting thing that they've done is they are working with SSM. SSM is currently building a medical clinic inside the YMCA. And so it'll all be encapsulated together, which he said was going to be their new norm.
Mhm.
So that was an interesting thing. Later on, I met with the Tim Helm.
Mhm.
He talked about what options would be available to the city of Darting Prairie. They've had their eye here on it for quite some time. And they would like to come to Darting Prairie, and it's an opportunity for us to see what they have to offer, what they would consider a good fit, and we could all benefit by a discussion with them.
Yeah.
So those are things that I've been appreciative this week to see. So we can discuss all that a little later or right now, whenever you want to make a
Okay.
decision about how you want to go forward.
Well, it's not on the agenda for tonight, but I think it's good discussion and good consideration as well. But yeah, we'll certainly, I think kind of what you're alluding to is looking probably at the options for the 10 acres. And it's something that that came up as one of the possibilities of how to utilize the 10 acres. So I think as we move forward with continuing to assess that, the next phase, we still have some time, but I think having a discussion with the YMCA is something I think is certainly, as you said, very beneficial for everybody to get an understanding. And I have heard a lot of good things about how the YMCA has evolved from the cookie cutter fashion of sort of just the old school gym and pool model, and they really evolved. So I'm eager to see how they have evolved as well. And thank you for helping spearhead some of those relationships as we move in to try to determine those things with the 10 acres. So.
Oh. Am I up?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I guess kind of asking Kathy, I guess the bids didn't go out for the trash hauling?
No, that has
Okay.
not gone out yet.
Okay, talking to some of the vendors, for service to be taken over the first of the year, it's almost too late now for them to bid on anything. So, I would say that I'd like this board maybe to agree that maybe, push it off for next year. And we should, look at that option for the, 1 year renewal for Grace Hauling. I think some of you have already, received an email from Grace Hauling about what they do provide. I talked to the person there and I also said, I never knew they had a discount for senior citizens. All the years I've been on the board, I didn't know that was there and I didn't know about their bulk pickup either. But I think we ought to move forward with, doing the 1 year option and then wait till next year before we consider going out for a bid. Because the vendor says it's just too late in, there are vendors interested in bidding, but it's just too late for them to ramp up to be able to provide service by the first of the year. So the pleasure of the board, if we rescind our motion to send out the bid, and to renew the 1 year grace, I guess maybe that has to be two motions, Brad, or one, or,
Yeah, I guess, so you're wanting to, well, we're talking about rescinding a board's action previously, so I'll defer to the city attorney on the way to
So
do that.
I guess, Kathy, let me ask you this question. When this was previously discussed, was it an agenda item?
No.
no,
It was just in, okay. Well, then
Then we don't need to,
presumably, yeah, we can make that decision here.
okay. So we just do a show of hands, who would like to withdraw or withhold any recompetes.
Perhaps to postpone
Okay. Who would like to postpone
bidding our
The
solid waste
rebidding
collection
for
services.
solid waste action services? Show of hands, who would like to postpone? The ayes have it, so we will postpone next year.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other aldermen have any additional inputs or thoughts they'd like to bring to the? Okay, nothing hurts. That leaves it to me. I do want to, Alderman Nay very aptly put a lot of my thoughts in there, and I shared some earlier when Captain Hunt was here. But the services that we get from St. Charles Police, St. Charles County Police are exceptional, and we have a lot that we get from there. So again, I won't double down and repeat what Alderman Nay said, but it was very on point, and highly recommend everybody get out there and take a look. If you, the other board members, get out there and take a look and take the tour if you have the chance. So I will cover in the regular meeting, I will cover the quarterly update as well. But we've done a lot of good things in this past 90 days. To the board as well. I hope that you guys have seen it. It's posted on the website, and if you haven't, let me know. Make sure you get a copy. But one of the things that I've done, as we move forward, and as an alderman, I always felt it was something that would be really beneficial, is kind of put out a quarterly report at least to let you know, hey, these are the things that are priority. Here's what we're working on. I know we talk about a lot of it anyway, but just for all the aldermen to kind of see, as well as consumption by the general residents. We're doing a lot of good things in the city, and I think that one of the things that I'm proudest of, because I've heard it, the loudest voice on it was when I was out there knocking on doors early this year, is that our website is certainly lacking. It's hard to navigate. It's not mobile friendly. So I'm really happy to see that Rose has already got that ball moving forward. It's going to take 6 months to basically transition over. There's a lot of back end parts and pieces that have to be moved over and reintegrated accordingly. So good things to come as far as the website. It's going to be very user friendly. So I appreciate the support from the board on that, and excited to see that come forward. So we'll cover the rest of the items on the regular meeting when I have the opportunity to speak then. It's going to give us back about just under 20 minutes for the next meeting. So for that, I will go ahead and adjourn the regular work session, entertain a motion to adjourn the work session.
So
moved by Alderman Wilson, second by Alderman Detweiler. All in favor?
Aye.
Declare this meeting adjourned.